In this tutorial, I show how you can make your coding visible with coding stripes and highlighting, and how you can turn coded NVivo files into Word documents and PDFs. We start off with coding stripes, and I'm using a file that I uploaded in tutorial 1 and then coded in tutorial 3a. I just opened the file here by double clicking on it, and as you can see, we don't know what we coded and where we coded. In the Documents tab, we can click on Coding Stripes, which shows us then a range of options, and we can see that none is the default setting. If we click on All Coding, then all your coding is shown in the coding stripes here on the right. If we instead opt for Selected Items, we get this window where we can specify what we want to be shown in the form of coding stripes. And this can be quite useful when we have done lots of work with cases, relationships and so on, and also if we want to look for specific things. I just wanted to highlight that there is this little box, automatically select descendant quotes, which I circulated in yellow, and this can be really useful, especially when you have lots of notes and so on. As I said earlier, none is the default setting for coding stripes. But with only a couple of clicks you can change it, and that may save you a bit of time. To do so, you need to click on Files in the top left, and then you get here to the project information, where we then pick Options. And then we are in the Application options, and we need to go to the Display tab. And this brings us here. And you can see it gives you different options for the default setting for the coding stripes. And if you picked your preferred option, you then just click Apply and OK. If the changes do not show immediately, then please just restart NVivo or close your project and reopen it. When we make our coding visible using coding stripes, we will see that each node will have a color. By default, the color scheme is random, but we can change that. We can assign colors to nodes. I'm going to show you how, but before I wanted to say that you can also assign colors to other items in NVivo, for example, files or memos. And when you assign a color, it is not just relevant for coding stripes, but this color will, for example, then also feature in visualizations. I'm now back in the notes, and to set a color for a node, I just right click on the node and then select color. You can see that none is the default setting, but you can click on any of the other ones listed here, and for this example I clicked on green, and now you can see at the very right that we assigned the color green to this node. You can change the color at any point. In the second example, I show that you can also set or change a color by going via the node properties. And here we are in the node properties, and I circulated where we can amend the color settings. As you might remember from tutorial 3a, this window also appears when you create a node, which means that we can also set a color when we create a node. And after we then pick the color, I went here for red, we then click OK. For this example, I choose a color for a different note, so in total we have 3 notes with colors. After you picked the colors, you might then think, okay, I just go back to the file. But when you do that, you will see that the colors didn't change. So all you need to do is just click again on File in the top left, and then we click on Options, and we again need to go to the Display tab. And here at the very bottom, we can then change the default color scheme from automatic to item color. Then we click Apply and OK. And we can now see our file again, but we can see that the colors didn't change. So what we need to do is close and reopen the file. And you can see that it worked. If reopening the file doesn't do it for you, then I recommend you to restart NVivo. We now look more closely at the highlighting, which is right next to the coding stripes. And as in the case of coding stripes, you will see that the default setting is also here none. If we click on all coding, We can then see that all the coding we've done is highlighted in yellow. Unlike in the case of coding stripes, we cannot change the color or add more colors. If we instead go for coding for selected items, you will get this window, and it just works as in the case of coding stripes. So you need to pick those ones that you want to be highlighted and then click OK. And also here we can change the default setting. For this, we first again click on Files in the top left, and then we get to the project information, and then we pick Options. And we again want to go to the Display tab, and I circulated in red where you can amend the highlight coding settings. After you pick your preferred option, you click Apply and OK, and it might be that you need to restart NVivo to see those changes. In the final part of this video, I'll show how you can turn coded items into Word documents or PDFs. This can be really useful if you want to discuss your coding with, for example, your supervisor or colleagues who do not necessarily use NVivo. At the same time, it can help if you want to compare coding, but you can't or you do not want to use NVivo's comparison feature, because one of your co-coders might do manual coding. And finally, some people also want to attach a coded transcript to their thesis or to their paper. To get these documents, you have two options. The first one is to export a document. For that, you either right-click in the file and then select Export Document, or you right-click on the name of the file and then select Export Document. And then we get to the export options, and we can select where we want to save the document and what we want to be included. And we then click OK after we picked our preferred options. And then we get this Word document where our coding is highlighted. And note that just the coding is highlighted that we made visible within NVivo. So you can, for example, select certain items for the highlighting, and then only these will show in the exported documents. The downside of the Word document here is that we can just see where we coded, but we cannot see how we coded, so there are no coding stripes. And this brings us to the second option, which is a PDF document, and here we can include coding stripes. But for this to work, we also need to make our coding stripes visible in NVivo. To get the PDF document, what we need to do is to right-click either within the file or on the file name and then select Print. And this brings us to the print options, and I circulated here in red where it mentions coding stripes. And it gives you different options. In this example, I just went for print on the same page and then clicked OK. And then you can, of course, just print the document, or you can, as I did here, print it to PDF and then click Print. Then we can select a location and a name for the file. And here is our PDF. I had selected all coding for the highlighting and the coding stripes, and all of that is now visible in this PDF. But we can, of course, then also only select certain items for the stripes or the highlighting and then print the document, and then only those will be visible in the PDF document. So it is quite flexible, and you can really tailor the document to your needs. I have one final hint. I went here for the option of printing the coding stripes on the same page. There is also the option to print them on adjacent pages, and I think this is really interesting when you want to compare your coding with your co-coders, and you might not want to use NVivo's coding comparison, which is found in the Explore tab. I hope you found this video useful. Do leave me a comment and let me know what you think. The next tutorial will be on how to export the codebook. Check out my website researchtales.com for a list of all the tutorials which I hope will help you to get started with NVivo 12.